box.
Hello and welcome to Con Air, the podcast. I am Mark Magic Hat Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay Aggressive Door Opening Cluett, welcoming you aboard Con Air, the podcast, Chapter 16. On this podcast, Mark and I fly you through the many chapters of Con Air, scene by scene. And what happens in Chapter 16? Well, in the jailbird cockpit, Cindino is concerned that they could be tracked by the transponder before Swamp Thing reveals its location is unknown. Uncle Bob reassures his passengers and welcome aboard Uncle Bob's scenic tours, upon which he doesn't realise they're also carrying the jailbird transponder. Back in the marshal's office, a very angry Malloy returns to confront Larkin and Skiff about the situation and is informed that Sims died on board. Larkin and Malloy argue, and Malloy resolves to bring in some heavily armed helicopters to take the plane down, which they're tracking via the transponder. It's the transponder chapter! All transponders, all the time, everywhere, all over the place. Love it. So we need someone to help us talk about Chapter 16 of Con Air. Someone who's talked about planes on numerous shows before. He's the host of Airport Minute, the Rocketeer Minute, Apollo 13 Minute, the Andromeda Strain Minute, and the producer of some joint MXM shows that Mark and I have been on before, Best Years of Our Lives, Silverado, and the upcoming Bowfinger Minute. It's Jim O'Kane. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, but you picked the wrong guy. I should have my co-hosts on Apollo 13 Minute and Rocketeer Minute know way more about airplanes. I mean, I can kind of slide my way through on some of this thing. Fortunately, it's there's very few aircraft in this particular minute, just that Beechcraft 18 that's out there. But thank you for having me on. I haven't watched this movie in forever, so it gave me a good chance to rewatch the whole thing, and it is every bit the giant video game that I remember it being. It's everything's dialed up to 11, and so many beige tan suits in this. I mean, it's just, you're instantly transported to 1997.
Beige tan suits in a beige tan desert.
Yes.
A dull metal plane.
It's very big. It's very kind of 90s grunge too, like oversized suit on Cusack. Like this is
he could be heading the Talking Heads right there. It's just it's amazing. And and of course, my favorite part of this whole minute, actually this whole movie, is Colm Meaney doing I can sound more American if I growl. And he just growls through the whole movie. It's just, he sounds like he stubbed his toe and his wife just asked him, "What's wrong?" I don't know. He just he goes full Fred Flintstone, and it's perfect.
Like, are you okay? Of course I'm not okay.
Well, I mean, it's okay that he's not okay in this chapter because he's found out that his friend, that Sims, has died. But I love that they're told when Skip tells him, "Oh, they killed Sims." Larkin steps in. They took the plane, and Malloy does not care at all about the plane. Like, why is Larkin telling him they took the plane? His guy is dead. All he cares about is the only skin he had in this game was Sims. Sims has been taken out of it, so he just wants revenge. He doesn't care if they're taking the plane or not. He's shooting down either way. But
he should have taken an Uzi on there.
Yeah. It's the one that fits on his ankle.
And I just want to say, Jim, thank you so much for being in character. Before we started rolling, Jim lit up a cigarette, took a puff of it, and then just threw it on the ground without even stubbing it out or right in your home. You threw it right on the ground.
The linoleum can handle it. It's like everything is there. I didn't see any "thank you for not smoking" signs. You just gotta grind that Marlboro into the vinyl.
How many cigarettes are on that floor? Do you
they're like melted through. I can't remember how many back in the 90s, how many offices I worked in where people would just stub out cigarettes into the floor of the office. It's amazing how realistic this whole thing is. Well, and if you look around, there's no ashtrays.
There's no ashtrays. Yeah, I was just checking myself.
That coffee pot, the coffee cup is probably half full of little Marlboro and Parliament sleeves and. Just it
makes the coffee better.
Yeah. There's probably like a little gray-blue cloud about a foot above the foot below the ceiling there.
Do you want a cigarette? No, just like get a ladder and
take a big sniff. Yeah,
exactly.
They spent ages framing it out of the shot. It's a nightmare.
I think that actor was like, listen, Cusack's yelling, Meaney's yelling, I need to do something. And he just takes his cigarette and chucks it on the ground, then paces back and forth. I mean, that's what I'm getting from this scene. But that's what I loved about it. I'm like, wait, because at first I thought he burnt his finger. So I thought that the guy burnt his finger. And so I was like, oh man, did he burn? Like, did a cigarette go down too small? He just threw it on the ground. No, he just chucked a full cigarette on the ground. And it's wonderful.
Well, he's trying to cut back. That's the thing.
Like, you buy 3 packs of cigarettes a day. You take 2 puffs from each. Just take 6 puffs from each. And that's the same amount and less money. Like,
yeah. Well, this is his 3rd hijacking in a week. So it's just,
Okay, I know we got to get into Cole Meaney, but there's some like really interesting questions raised in this chapter. I want to ask you too. So they're both blaming each other. Like, he's like, what kind of Keystone cops do you have up there to Cusack? And then Cusack tells Cole Meaney, you brought a gun, you shouldn't have done that. Was it Cusack's crew's fault that the Con Air was taken, or is this like a time when you create a beautiful event outside in non-hurricane season, and then a hurricane comes and knocks it down anyway? Like, who was like, did Cusack mess up? Did his crew mess up, or was this plan too good? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I'm on Team Cusack with this one. It wasn't his fault that somebody else went up with a gun. I mean, he had it all straightened out. Like, this would not work if you didn't have somebody in front. But the basic problem with Cusack though is, why would you put that many people on a plane together? Let's just make sure we're outnumbered.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Sims would still be alive if he hadn't had a gun on his ankle, because that's the only thing that would have given him away. He could still be up there as like a man on the inside, trying to bring it down, team up with Poe, Baby O Bishop, and have like an extra man inside. Like, he's a capable guy. He's a DEA agent. They can do things, I assume.
Yeah, and if it was there to blend in to get that information from the guy, you didn't have to fill up the plane with other passengers. Just put him in the Beach 18 that was go over the Grand Canyon. Just say, hey, buddy, and then just start quizzing him up that way.
It's just him and Sandino, no one else. And the pilot. Yeah.
Oh, fancy meeting you here. What? Yeah. I'm not a plant.
You're being transferred too?
Yeah.
I'm dangerous criminal Sims.
How did you get your shoes so shiny in prison? It's just amazing.
But yeah, it's just Meaney's coming on him hot saying Keystone Cops, but this happened because a guy vomited up a match, lit another man on fire, and then people stuck pins into their thumbs, pulled them out. Like, this is, I don't know. I feel like Cusack did everything he could, but I guess there's too many people on the plane.
I mean, we talked about it during the breakout chapter where it's kind of Bishop's fault a little bit. It's like when she's the one who has Pinball, because the reason it all starts is Pinball starts the fire and is moved, and she's kind of not watching Pinball when he goes and pulls the lever that releases Diamond Dog. So that bit is the only bit that kind of could have been prevented. Larkin says in this chapter that they haven't got contingency plans for this. They didn't think this could happen. I feel like maybe they should have a contingency plan for this.
The Bureau of Prisons, I think, this is a major indictment of the Bureau of Prisons. It's really bad management, organizational skills, and planning. Forget it. It's just not there.
Yeah, the situation is never contemplated. What, prisoners trying to escape?
Did you see Shawshank Redemption? Yeah.
Every film set in a prison ever made?
Oh, gosh.
Is Cusack going to get work after this? Because he's the guy who planned the Con Air trip that got taken over. I mean, he did catch him on a motorcycle later during a fire truck chase in Vegas.
He's going to become a motorbike cop.
Yeah.
He's going to pivot into that.
Starring Chips. Him and Cage just riding around the country solving crimes.
Sold. I'm here.
Oh.
Yeah, he'd be driving, and then Nick Cage would just be sniffing the air behind him on the back of the motorcycle.
At the end of every episode,
raised.
He gains another man he trusts.
Yeah.
So, everyone is there's no foreman I trust.
Are they on the same motorcycle together?
Yeah.
Or Cage in a sidecar. He's licking the air like a dog out of a car window.
Just the hair flying, Cusack's hair
both hands
back.
over the side, and just yes.
Tongue lolling in the wind.
Oh, so they just go town. And like you said, they trust somebody new each episode.
Yeah. It's like the future.
Sometimes it goes down one.
Yeah.
Somebody dies. It's only 7 men I trust again this week. God damn it, we lost.
Oh, they
lost Bill.
go to help a man they trust, but then he gets shot. But then they find another person to trust, and then
So they
it's
break
like,
even. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
I do like the gear in the office here, that the U.S. Marshal's jacket, and then right underneath it is the bullhorn for the inevitable hostage standoff talk, where we know you're in there. And,
third time this week, right?
Yeah, it's right after the hijacking, they're standing on the tarmac with the ever present. Did you plug in the bullhorn? The batteries are going dead. We've been using it too much. But yeah, it's just funny how that's the standard equipment is U.S. Marshal's jacket and a bullhorn.
And a coffee with cigarettes in it.
Yeah.
I do like the background actor's work next to them. She's standing by the file cabinet looking at files, and they start yelling, and she just ducks out. She reads the room and takes off. So, yeah,
very much a nope. Yeah.
And hey, I have a good question, Jim. When you were watching this in '97, I'm sure you had known Cage from Leaving Las Vegas and his Oscar win, and even like Fast Time. Like I don't know about Fast Times, but like his work in just a non-action hero. So then he stars in The Rock, and then he goes into, like, he's not quite the action hero yet, but in this one, he's just straight up like Beefcake Cage. Like,
yeah.
Did that seem weird to you?
Well, I always pictured him as a comedy actor. I mean, you think of Raising Arizona. He was in, I remember he was in Fast Times, right, and Valley Girl. But it's like I always think of him as, well, he's just the funny guy, the goofy guy. Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yeah,
when he was, he's just this goofy guy. And Moonstruck, a wolf without a hand. Like, it's like those, were funny things. But it's like I didn't quite pick him as being, this action superstar. But he pulled it off. It was impressive. But you think of like, the Vegas ones that all of that stuff was just comedy, and then this one was kind of it still has some comedic premises because of Jerry Bruckheimer. I mean, you can't take Jerry Bruckheimer movies seriously, but he managed to make it a little bit less zany than it was. So you go, okay, now he's from Tennessee. He's not, he's not this this guy from Brooklyn
Once Bitten?
No, Moonstruck.
Oh, Moonstruck, sorry.
I think
the
Moonstruck.
Vampire's Kiss, is that in New York too?
I don't know.
That's a great question. But no, you're right. Yeah, he's not. He has the accent. He's not the lovelorn kind of outbursty guy.
Yeah, but you think of like Honeymoon in Vegas and stuff like that, which is another one with airplanes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Never travel with Cage.
Wait, he had another movie called Trapped in Paradise where he's trapped in a town after his car wipes out. So Cage just loves The Rock. He's imprisoned. He just likes being stuck in places.
He's stuck in Willy's Wonderland. He's stuck there overnight.
Yeah, he's stuck in Willy's Wonderland. Cage just likes getting stuck in places. That's interesting.
But yeah, he just, and he's just this everyman hangdog that, and it's like here did you believe him in National Treasure? I just, it's like, okay, sure, he's a world famous archaeologist, historian, and no. from a long family of famous Virginia Gages.
I believe him as being dedicated and driven in National Treasure. Because that's what he always commits. He always commits fully to the role, and I believe that his character, that Benjamin Franklin Gates, does do that. So,
I think the one City of Angels.
Yeah.
I think that was one of his best roles, that he didn't have to be comedic. He didn't have to be action hero. He just had to emote and show as little emotion as possible when he's doing things. And I think that's where he's at best at. He has kind of an Alec Guinness face in the sense that he doesn't emote. You don't see him. He's never really upset. He just he'll smile, he'll frown. He doesn't really show emotion. So the audience gets to paint whatever they want to on his face. He's rather a bit of a stone face through most of his movies, whether it's action or comedy or anything else. You get to put what you feel on that face, even if it's John Travolta.
And we see none of that in this chapter because you've got one of the few cageless scenes.
Yeah. It's I was thinking, where is he?
There's not a lot. That's you got Malkovich and you got Cusack. Got the other two leads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
it is nice having a cheeky moment though with Diamond Dog, Swamp Thing, Cyrus, and Sandino. I like their little bit in the plane in the beginning. It's nice. It's kind of, Avengers Age of Ultron's not my favorite movie, but my favorite bits with them are when they're able to just hang out during that party.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I like here, where they're just sort of like they're kind of yucking it up. All three of them are just making jokes, and they're like, hey, where's the transponder? I don't know, what is it? Like, where is it? And
I kind of want to see an Odd Couple film with Sandino and Swamp Thing. Just 'cause the two of them feel like they're the two that gel the least here, like have the least in common. The two new additions to the cockpit. I just like that Sandino's out of his depth. Swamp Thing is yagging it up and loving it. I just want to see more of that. This is like we don't see a lot of these two together. I want to see more of them.
Oh.
How much I was trying to figure out in terms of appliances, Swamp Thing and Sandino, which one has the bigger extensions on his hair?
I think that's all MC Gainey.
Really?
Okay. I feel like he's capable of doing that. I mean, looking at it now, it's not
he's
natural.
Full Nick Nolte on that one. Yeah, it's just
Oh gosh, yeah, I got a great pause here. It's got to be Sandino because I'm seeing this right now.
Yeah, looking at Swamp Thing, that looks glued on his face and a wig on the top. he could be completely bald underneath all of that, I think.
Yeah, I'm not even sure about the mutton chops. That's probably all just some glue and horsehair.
Did you notice Ving Rhames' hat during this scene when it flips back and forth?
Ah. Wow. Okay,
yeah.
Now, do you think that was on purpose?
Well, he's wearing so in the scene after this when he's taking Garland Green out, he has his hat on backwards. So they probably just were on set for so long improvising that he started flipping his hat around.
Yeah.
But I flip my hat around a lot too, though. So it's possible he could have done that mid-conversation.
Twice.
Yeah. Plausible off-screen action, yeah.
Maybe it's a tick.
It just keeps going.
I'm going to have to put something in our Instagram stories of comparing these. Like, back is front is back.
I kind of like front. They're just yucking it up. It makes me happy. I think some of my favorite moments in this movie are, and there's also a scene too where Swamp Thing makes a joke and Malkovich just yucks it up with him. I kind of like this vibe right here. Like I want this movie, just four of them up front.
Yeah, it's like the Millennium Falcon. It's just kind of everything's happening. The thing that drives me crazy though, and this has bothered me in every movie that I think Steve Martin pointed it out in Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, that Sandino has he has his top buttoned with no tie or bow tie, and I get my Catholic school vibes back from then of having that top buttoned while he's sitting. It's like you're off duty, buddy. You can loosen your neck a little.
I feel like that's coming more into fashion again. I hate it because I have I'm a bigger guy. I've got a bit of a fatter neck, shall we say, and I'm never comfortable with a top button done up, even with a tie on. So that coming back into fashion, I don't like. But this is 25 years ago, and he's wearing prison fatigues. He should have every excuse in the world to not have that button up. He just likes it. It's a personal choice, I guess. He's just a fan of having that button done up. I don't like it.
I wish I had the confidence I've had a couple. I wish I had the confidence to button all the way up. I just can't do it. I don't think I can carry it off.
I don't think it looks nice. I think it looks bad.
It's in Dead Man Don't Wear Plaid. Steve Martin hands Humphrey Bogart a bow tie. So next time, wear a proper tie. But I feel it with this. And when you get back to the office between there's different states of disarray on the ties. Meaney has his tie fully furled, but Cusack is at a half. He's got a half a tug off of it, and the supervisor that's telling him to knock it off is completely undone with the top button. So it's just different states of duress.
So I can understand Cusack.
I just noticed that.
I can understand Cusack being in disarray because I was thinking about this. The last time we saw Cusack, he was inspecting Cyrus's cell, ran away from an explosion. That cell is an hour's drive away from where they currently are.
And they're in the desert, yeah.
So he started out where they are now is at the I wrote it down. He's at Oakland International Airport is where the plane took off from, where we first met Larkin. He then went to Cyrus's prison is in Vacayville, so 57 miles away, and he came then back again, and this is all in the space of a few hours. And he recently almost died from a part of a door exploding above him and getting embedded in a wall. So I'm going to say he's perfectly acceptable to have his tie in a little bit of disarray. I don't know why he's still wearing a jacket, of all things, in that weather.
I love that his suit is wrinkled, too. I love that it's just in complete... It's believable, right? It feels like every night he just wanted to get the heck out of there, so he took off his pants and suit, threw him on his trailer floor, and then just left. And then came back and picked him up the next day. Yeah,
or they were, wadded up in a suitcase that was too small for fit in the overhead compartment, and just it's been in and out of a lot of Holiday Inns for weeks.
I have a question, guys. You're in this situation. Which one of the three are you? With the different ties. So you're in.
Okay.
Like, who would you be? Like, which one references your personality the best? As far as wearing ties.
I'd be Meaney. I grew up in parochial schools for 12 years of my life, and I feel I'm one of the few people that feels normal with ties, from what I can tell. Like I always, like, if I'm wearing a tie, I can't do the thing where you unbutton the top button and let it hang. I always have to have it tied up, and I know it's a peculiarity of me, but it's just I feel like it's like having your shoes untied. It's just kind of like, and I know some people walk around with untied shoes, but I feel like if I got a tie on, I got to pull it all the way up. So I'd be in the Meaney Sartorial school.
I hope you have a good point.
I think I'd be Meaney in terms of the shirt button still done up, because I don't like it, but I feel like I'm at work, that's how I would feel. But my tie would look more like Cusack's, where it's undone a little bit, and I've just kind of neglected it. So my intention would be to look like how Meaney is, but what I've been through, I'm just going to look more like Cusack. Unintentionally.
Yeah, I'm a Cusack guy. I had to wear a tie. I taught in Korea, and we had to wear a shirt and tie every day. But I don't think my tie was ever all the way tied up. Just like, Mitch Hedberg said that when you wear a turtleneck, it feels like you're being choked very softly. And I just feel like when you have a tie on, I feel the same way. So I always give it a little extra room to go down. So yeah, I'm Cusack. I'm Cusack all day. I also just like Cusack.
Yeah, he can pull that off. I couldn't pull off that haircut though. I cannot. My hair. If I combed it back like that, it would stick up like Tintin. Yeah. It would not flop back like that. No matter how long I grew it, it would just kind of. I'd wind up with more of a, if I let my hair grow out, it'd be more like Nick Cage. Anything else is just kind of hang in there, or maybe Swamp Thing. My hair does not do the stuff that happens in this movie.
Yeah, Cusack's got some good looking hair. And also, you talked about the ties, but all three suits are different too. Meaney's kind of nice and fitted, tailored.
Yeah.
And then Cusack's looks like it's 8 sizes too big for him. And then the coworker kind of has like a Burlington coat factory kind of decent coat.
But, it's good enough. But I know Meaney. I feel like he got the pants when he was about 2 inches narrower in the waist, because that belt buckle is just digging right into his abdomen. You can see it. You can see it standing up perfectly and just tucking in under his belly button. And as he walks in the door there, he's just.
So his is too small. Cusack's is too big. Skip Devers is just right.
Just right. Yeah, it's like Goldilocks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I want a lineup of them, like in Usual Suspects, but with their suits. Yeah, you're right. That thing is in there.
Yeah, it's. It's a nice belt.
Shiny.
I always have a problem with belts that the size that I wear, it's either too like Goldilocks. It's either too big or it's too small. And if I get the too big one, it's like I almost have like another half wrap around the side. But it's either that I get that and then like get the smaller one and punch a few holes closer to the middle. I don't know. I got to lose weight. That's all I'm saying.
You ever do a belt buckle? I tried a belt buckle a little bit in college, but
yeah. The 70s then went over, so I stopped wearing those kind of I had one that had like a locomotive on it. I had one that I had a NASA belt buckle.
Heck yeah.
But that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago, and it had a little spatial on the bottom of it. But we were young and foolish.
I think I had like a Billabong one.
Yeah,
I was big in the early 2000s when I was in college, so I had that. And I had a checkered black and white one too.
Oh,
And I wore Dickies a lot.
wow.
Yeah.
A friend of mine had one that looked like piano keys. The belt went all the way around. It was like piano keys, and he had a little like a grand piano for a belt buckle. It was like, whoa.
That's confident right there.
Yeah. That's something that
You wear that with the piano tie as well.
Like,
yeah, there you go.
Set.
I feel like with that belt, it either wears you or you wear it. Like,
yeah. Well, you have to go to Billy Joel concerts for the rest of your life. That's all you can do.
I couldn't pull it off. I'd be too self-conscious and people would read it right through me. But I feel like there's people out there at the Billy Joel concert that they look like they belong in that.
Yeah, my goal for the last 40 years or so is to be as nondescript as possible. Gray, get Dockers. That Dockers is your savior because they're just you can fade right into a crowd.
Wait, it sounds like you're like a heist. Like, are you robbing places? Like, are you like Brosnan from all those movies where you just knock a place off and blend into the crowd perfectly? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's more like the Secret Service agent snipers that they just they'll have the little thing in their ear and they just sit back and watch for signs of weakness and see who's not paying attention to the crowd.
Is that why you're recording this from on top of a building right now, looking down on people?
Well, yeah, it's the only place I can store my cigarettes safely.
I've done a tremendous amount of work reducing the wind noise in this episode.
Yeah.
Listeners, you're welcome.
That's a great pop filter you have there.
It's a full body pop filter.
So, in the past, I've given pilots and movies a lot of flack. Like, you watch a Star Wars movie, and I swear they hit about 40 knobs and buttons before they start their ship. They're not even looking at the buttons they're pressing. There's pop, 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 pop. Like, it annoys me. But I love Swamp Thing's piloting because his button pushing does not feel arbitrary. I feel like he only presses the buttons or levers or switches that he needs to. So I get that feeling too, that it's sometimes it's like when you're watching people driving a car in a movie and they're like sawing away at the wheel, and it's like he's not sawing away at the wheel. It's like he sets the trim tabs and it's like, well, the plane flies itself now. I just have to go. Yeah.
I just think it's funny that all these convicts know exactly where to look for the transponder. It's like some of them should be like looking at it should be like Galaxy Quest where they're looking for for shoes, and it's like they should be like looking at the ceiling. Where is the transponder? Do you think it's in the tail? But they all like, oh no, it's in this hole next to the erector set style slot that can fit in. And it's good that they just have a nice big empty space where it was.
It's quite thematic too. Like, where is it? And then there's just a gigantic cup holder now there.
Yeah.
That they can use.
Yeah, and it's so good that they all fit in the same thing and they all use the same voltage and they all it's just marvelous how easy it is to plug in and set and forget. So it's just and fortunately it has blinking lights too, so you can find it in the dark on the floor of the Beechcraft there.
I remember seeing that and just going, of course there's blinking lights on this thing.
Yeah. it's like every bomb has a timer on it with and that will count to zero, then beep 3 times before it explodes. But it's just amazing how, and for some reason, because you have a transponder, that's the only way they can track you. They don't have primary radar. They can spot a plane without a transponder that's not broadcasting. It's like, but this is a Jerry Bruckheimer movie, and not everything fits in the same way.
Yeah. The good news is when I was thinking, like, what I like though is at least they make an attempt to just be like, listen, there's a transponder, it's gone. Like, that's all I need sometimes from a movie. Does that make sense? Like,
and tagging the wrong thing. I mean, that's Total Recall. It's like they put the transponder on somebody. It's like this is a trope of movies where you're tracking somebody. But it helps if you don't know this stuff. I think it makes the movie easier to understand and feel better about it. Apparently Uncle Bob has 2 transponders now, and I don't know if he took the other transponder out, and when he took off, he would have filed a flight plan, so it would have been, here's where I'm going, and he would have been in contact with the tower and with probably Los Angeles Dispatch or Phoenix. So he would have been with one of the centers would have been talking to him. But of course there's according to this movie, there are fully fueled Cobra attack helicopters loaded with armaments.
Ready and waiting.
In domestic airspace.
And it doesn't matter the military branch either. Give me the Coast Guard. Give me the National Guard. Give me the local news crews.
Health and Human Services. I want
But do you think
Harrison
Uncle Bob
Ford
would have been allowed to take off, given that at the airport where he was, a plane full of convicts just took off? They know they'd taken over the plane, and then a few minutes later he takes off. I feel like someone would want to come and search that plane at least before he goes.
Well, he doesn't use a radio or a transponder, so he doesn't, just rolls out onto the runway and off he goes.
I think Bob is running a black market plane tourist unit because he's not getting approval. He doesn't worry about a transponder.
Takes off in a sandstorm.
And takes off in a sandstorm. This is Hanks is the premier one where you have the transponder and all that, but Bob's is kind of the one you could give him $50 and it'll give you a flight around the canyon. If that makes sense. We're
not supposed to be here, but $50 is $50.
No, I couldn't. And then you slap 100 in his hand. All right, let's go.
So
I do love the insert with Bob when they're showing the guys in the cockpit, and it's such a set. It's such a thing on a rig bouncing up and down while they're moving the camera up and down, and somebody's spraying steam across the nose. It's just such a beautiful bit of cinema non-reality.
Is this gonna clear up? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. It's fine.
Speaking of the cockpit, Uncle Bob he's a new actor we haven't seen before. He's played by Jeff Olson. This is his first film. He hadn't done anything else that I'd seen him in. So he's been in 20 odd films. He sadly died in 2016. But a film that came up recently on this show was the film called The Runner from '99, which he is also in. Just came up some weird tangent, so I just have to bring it up again. But the guy sat next to him. I spent a long time trying to work out who the heck this guy is. He has a line of dialogue in this chapter, but I do not think he's credited. And because I went through every name in the credits trying to find passenger or anything at all. The best I could find was someone who I don't know who it is. There's a character in this film called Stickman. Mark, have you come across Stickman?
Yeah, I have. I've come across Stickman.
Who is
before.
Stickman?
When I was putting together the Con Air seating chart, I came across Stickman. He's not the guy in the plane, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't know who this guy is. There's a mystery passenger in this plane.
Oh, we need to call Tiger Anderson-Jones.
Yeah. The best I could find was there's a guy who plays Tourist. I thought, this could be Tourist, but then all of his other credits seem to be High Roller and Vegas Gambler, so he's probably a tourist in the climax at Vegas.
Who dives out of the way. I
hit a dead end in my research, and I'm disappointed. I just want to share that with everyone.
Well, let's make it a point to get this. Let's.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, we'll figure this out.
I love blinking lights in movies, and this it wouldn't be a Jerry Bruckheimer movie without a wall full of blinky lights. I don't know what's going on behind Meaney toward the end of the scene here, where he's on the phone calling up the Coast Guard and then the Department of Fisheries and whatever, anybody that has an attack helicopter. But behind him there are so many blinky lights. I mean, it's like he must have felt like he was back in on a Deep Space Nine or something. It's just there's numbers flashing.
Some people are pointing at them.
Yeah. It's his mission control for. What are they tracking? Because apparently they're not tracking the Grand Canyon tour guy. They don't know where the other plane is, but they sure do have a lot of blinking light. This could be, every passenger on every commercial flight that has a transponder.
Yeah, you've got to assume this is the only emergency that the Marshal's Office are dealing with today. They can't be dealing with something else. This has to be the only, they would have blocked out. No one else book anything for this day. Everything is all on this plane.
Yeah. And apparently they've called up a museum at the bring out everything you've got, because they have the Apaches, and they have a Vietnam era Huey coming out, the Iroquois there, which is right at that whole Apocalypse Now look, flying into the sunset. Which what time of day is this? It's all kinds of times a day.
Yeah, it's magic hour.
Yeah, because this, I mean, everything since I think scene 4 is taking place on the same day. In the film, so this has to be at the latest early afternoon.
Apparently they've called them in from Tokyo. It's like somewhere the sun might be coming up, and then they've got to cross the Pacific, and
we'll be there in 20 hours.
Yeah. Only 4 refuelings. Well, no problem.
Do Do you have a Hall of Fame of blinking light scenes in movies, since you said you love that?
Blinking lights, mostly from TV. I love. There was a TV show which is impossible to Google, and I'll tell you why, because of the title. There was a 1972 show called Search.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
Hey, go ahead and look for that one online. It was a TV show called Search, created by Glenn Larson of many TV show fame, Columbo fame. The premise of the show was they had 3 agents who worked for apparently an insurance company who had to resolve major thefts. And the whole gag with the thing was every one of them had a micro receiver in their kind of a cell phone placed in their jaw, and they could bite down and send yes or no messages back to headquarters. But while behind them, the Mission Control Center, Search, the company name was Probe, but the show was named Search. At Probe headquarters, they had all these people running around, and there were the giant reel-to-reel computer tapes rolling, and there were so many blinking lights. It was everywhere was blinking lights, and it was all just to track down somebody had stolen a fortune in diamonds, and they were going to look up where the diamonds came from, and they'd be talking in their ears, telling him there's an elevator to your left. If you drill a hole through, you can drop down the elevator shaft and catch the guy. Starring classic 1970s stars, Tony Franciosa, Hugh O'Brien, and I can't think of third guy. But the head of the Mission Control there was Burgess Meredith, the Penguin himself. And it was. If you ever get I don't know how you'll be able to find it, but if you ever get a chance to see the show Search, 1972 NBC, it's hilarious in how many blinking lights there are. And there's that sound underneath. And of course, the word search was written in that Micker format, the same lettering that you have at the bottom of checks, the magnetic codable.
I'm looking at it now, yeah.
It looks like computer. It's so computery.
There's so many blinking lights.
Third lead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a lot of blinking lights.
I'm sorry, who's the third lead, Jay?
Doug McClure.
Doug McClure, yes, the Virginian himself, yes. And the shows were inventive but completely unnecessary. They would just they'd start telling him how to speak German in his ear, and he'd talk to people, and they'd tell him what different people were saying, kind of like the opening of True Lies. So but the whole show was like that, and. Yeah, but there's so many blinking lights, so many. Any Irwin Allen show is always a great blinking light thing. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, the original movie, has a lot of blinky lights, but then in TV they added even more. A great set of blinky lights would be Time Tunnel, another Irwin Allen 1960s show featuring Whit Bissell, who if you ever see a movie with Whit Bissell, you're in a good science fiction show. Right. So. But Time Tunnel has a lot of blinky lights.
This is blinking light heaven here, the show Search.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you found it. Yeah, there's so much. And the music, every time when they have the opening credits, they'd have this little sound effect where they bring up, starring Doug McClure this week, or this week's guest star is Lee Merriweather, and you hear this underneath it, and you're like, yes, that's a computer sound. That's so computer. And it would print it out like you were looking at it on CRT.
Your face lit up. This makes me so happy. I feel like you're with blinking lights like I am with jet ski action scenes.
Yes. Yeah. Blinky lights means just solid positive stuff. I mean, I was the best in-scene joke ever about that was the in the Avengers thing where this guy's playing
Gallagher,
yeah, this guy's playing Gallagher, that's what it always feels like when you're watching. It's like, well, what are all these other guys in the background doing? They're like the people in the middle. If you ever watched the 80s series Moonlighting, between Bruce Willis's office and Sybil Shepherd's office, there were all these people that did stuff, but you didn't know what they did.
And was it in Austin Powers when he's like, you're just arbitrarily turning knobs?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing back there? You're just flipping things. Yeah. The one thing I do, speaking of extras or people in companies who just run all over the place and you have no idea what they're doing, I do like the restraint in this scene that we're talking about today, because they're just allowed to have the 3 of them yelling at each other. Because in some office scenes, you have about 50 people just doing crosses back and forth with files and talking at their desks. And like, it's the most bustling atmosphere on the planet. It has no reason to be bustling. They just wanted movement on screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he was pretty smart just to put the three guys yelling at each other.
Well, and that blonde just trying to get out of the way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is going really south.
When Colmini comes in, there's two guys leaving. I feel like they heard he was coming. They were just like, we're gonna check out now. We're gonna go check on something else. It's fine. And he does not wait for them to get through the door. He just plows through the no entry door next to them.
Yeah, and this is all pre 9/11 stuff. I just keep thinking about how easy it was apparently for this guy to just call up fully armed equipment. But again, he's in Jerry Bruckheimer land, so it doesn't all things are possible with Jerry.
In filmmaking terms, I don't like that we have a shot of a helicopter taking off before we cut to him making the call for, I want a helicopter. Because the helicopter's already on its way before he's asked for it.
Yeah. But I think that's the ultimate in any action movie, that you want a helicopter on the pad in 5 minutes. And it's like, that's how you know it. And he's a government official, but typically it's the guy that runs the super secret corporation. He wants a helicopter on the roof. He needs to be here in 5 minutes. Digby, get that man. Yeah.
I feel like the helicopter pilots found out, there's some kind of U.S. martial emergency. Let's get the choppers ready. Like, Malloy's involved. He's going to want a chopper at some point. Let's get heading over there. Oh, he's on the phone. Okay, yeah, we're on our way. Yeah.
Yes. Just keep circling until he gives us a vector.
His pointing is so good in this scene, called Meaney too.
Oh, they have a little pointing match at each other, it seems.
It makes me want Harrison Ford to pop in this scene as well.
He should have played Skip Evers. Harrison Ford as Skip Evers in this scene.
Three people pointing at each other? It would be like that Spider-Man meme.
I'm trying to figure out, does Colm Meaney have the worst American accent in movies? I'm trying to think of
Rafe Spall in Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Also Benedict Cumberbatch in most things.
And in the Mauritanian, yeah. But he's got to be kind of close, I would say. Colm Meaney. Sorry to jump on you right there, but but his impression of American accents is girl. Talk like
I feel like he gets away with being Irish American because there are a lot of Irish Americans. He could just kind of fall into that. And when he gets particularly angry, the Irish does seep through a little bit. Which is always my favorite.
From South Boston or something like that, and he just happened to move out west and wind up with this job yelling at U.S. Marshals and such.
This is his second of third movies with John Cusack too. Like they've been in 3 movies together.
Wow.
Yeah, Road to Wellville, this, and then they were.
Oh yeah, that's right. Whoa,
This Is My Father, where Cusack plays a pilot.
Wow.
And Comey played a pilot in Die Hard too.
Hey.
Yeah. This is Colm Meaney at his mulletiest. I think this is the biggest mullet that he has in any movie I've ever seen him in.
Yeah, there's
even the it's not even the commitments isn't that big. It's just
he can sleep on it like a giant pillow.
Yeah. Just kind of roll it up at night.
Now I want Jim. I want you to do me a favor. After the helicopters take off, the 2 military helicopters take off. They cut to Colm Meaney on the phone.
Right.
And it's at the end of the minute. And you will see a plethora of blinking lights.
Yeah, that's the part that I love. It's like there's so much. It looks like an upside down Tetris on 2 of them, and they're really losing the stack. He's waiting for a long one to fall in from the bottom. There's like 2 Tetris games, and then there's like a 4 or an H and an X, and then there's a bunch of red ones. So it's like those are all the danger areas. And then he's got like what looks like an oscilloscope or something, some kind of a radar down to the right that's green. So it's very colorful, everything going on there. It is a radar, and it's going the wrong way. Radars go clockwise, so it's a backwards radar.
Wow.
And
Cusack set that up.
Yeah. Give me a radar. Make sure it goes backwards.
That was like his rider. I want sandals. I want a gigantic suit, and I want a radar that goes backwards, and a Mr. Coffee.
Oh gosh, it's just amazing. And then the blonde woman leaning into it was like, what are all these lights doing here?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, she doesn't have she has a jacket. She's the only one besides Meaney wearing a jacket. The other 2 guys are in shirt sleeves because they've got lots of buttons to figure out. The one guy,
they rolled their sleeves back too. They're going for it. This chapter.
They've got two upside down games of Tetris, and the guy on the right, because he's using his fingers, is playing Minesweeper.
I love Minesweeper.
Yeah, he's probably looking at the little Bob figure in the corner that keeps going when it, you're about to make a choice.
Did you ever have a BlackBerry?
No.
There's a game called Brick Breaker, and I kept my BlackBerry probably for 3 years too long just because I like that game.
Oh boy. Yeah, my wife used to play like 100 by 100 Minesweeper, and she'd get it in minutes, and I can never do the math. There's so much math that it's like 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, sitting around counting all these squares. Wow. It's amazing how, when you think about those games, millions and millions of people have played those games. Like it's one of the most common cultural artifacts that we have. I mean, people are watching all different things nowadays, so they don't always see the same TV shows or the same movies and stuff. But everybody's played Minesweeper. Everybody's played Tetris. It's
Solitaire.
Solitaire. Yeah.
As many people as have seen Con Air, far more have seen the music video Simon West directed for Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up." That's the last combined cultural experience, I think.
This is two of the screens are the exact same. You're right. I'm gonna start looking at screen work more. Do you like submarine movies? Because there's a lot of
submarine. Yeah. You watch Red October, which I almost picked Red October for our group Movies by Minutes project this year, but I was like, it's too long. Can't. And there's the only problem with doing Red October and a Movies by Minutes, individual minutes, nothing much happens. I've tried timing it out. It's like, okay, he's still wandering around. Okay, he's still looking for the cook. So I don't know if that's as doable in a Movies by Minutes format, but maybe in a chapter format might be.
I'm much happier with Bowfinger as a choice.
Yeah.
And since I like putting you on the spot, Jim, in the Silverado minute, Jay and I came up with our nicknames if we were cowboys. And I forget. I think I was like Nice Mark or something. I came up with a.
Oh God, you were Mark the adult. Mark the adult.
Yeah, Mark the not Billy the kid. I was Mark the adult.
I can't remember what I was, but we had.
Why am I laughing at my own jokes? But in this movie, we also came up with our nicknames if we're on this plane. So I'm Mark the Capricious Slaughterer Hoffmeyer. Then I became Mark the Catapult Killer Hoffmeyer. So if you're on this plane, what would your nickname be on here?
I'd be Stammerin' Jim.
Stammerin' Jim. Bob Stammerin' Jim O'Kane.
Yeah. Stammerin' Jim. Yeah, Bob Stammerin' Jim O'Kane. That would be me. That's how if you heard how much I have to edit my own podcasts, I do okay on other people's podcasts, but when I'm on there, I'm all the time. And
I feel like as a criminal to earn that nickname, it would be like you've been arrested, you're up on the stand in court, and they just can't get an answer out of you because it takes so long to get an answer.
Where are the bombs, O'Kane?
Okay, so we have Jim, Stammerin', Bob.
Why is Bob in this? What have you
Wait, was it Stammer? Wait,
Stammerin' Jim.
Wait, is it Jim Stammerin' Jim O'Kane?
Stammerin' Jim. No, just Stammerin' Jim. I think it's
Stammerin' Jim. Okay, so we're adding the nickname in front of the name. That's bold. Yeah. Because we have Cyrus the Virus, we have Diamond Dog, the Maria. I like it.
My favorite is still Billy Bet.
They don't even use my last name. It's just Stammerin' Jim. Oh, you got Stammerin' Jim there. Yeah.
Gonna be here all night.
You'll be like Benicio del Toro from The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
He'll flip you. Oh, I like it. Well, thank you. Yeah, I like that. Stammerin' Jim.
Or if they use O'Kane, it'll be like the Kaiser Soze thing where you have to use the alternate font set to get the O with the diareses over it. It's my life is hard enough with an apostrophe, but getting a diareses over the O, that would be O'Kane. Yeah.
Well, it's good your nickname isn't Baby, because then you'd have an issue with Baby Odell, because then you'd be Baby O'Kane.
Then we'd have to fight it out. Yes, pull a shiv and made out of a bar of soap that was frozen. And
towards the end of this film, I think you could take him.
Speaking of shivs, I have the extended cut of Con Air, and earlier in the film, we learned that Cameron Poe has a reputation in the prison he was from because he killed a giant guy because this giant guy tried to eat his pudding.
Specifically, black cherry Jello.
Black cherry Jello. And I was reading the original script for this, and I learned that, so they're like, you really kill a man for his pudding? And Poe says, no, he came after me in the yard with a shiv. It was self-defense. Didn't even get any more time added, but they moved me to Quentin, far, far, far from home. So that's why he committed the crime in Alabama, and he moved to San Quentin.
Okay.
So he didn't kill a giant over pudding.
Well, he does say in the script, I'm not going to say that Jello wasn't involved. So I feel like that's their first altercation was maybe Poe he got the last serving of Jello in the canteen that day in the mess hall, and then this guy, I want the Jello, and then hours later a shivving occurred.
I saw an interview with Gene Wilder once where he was in is it Going Straight with it was Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Was Running Scared,
where they're in prison together, and they actually filmed in a prison, and Gene Wilder, and they had some of the guys, the actual inmates were part of the movie, and he was on a lunch break and he sat down with this guy, and it turned out this guy had murdered an entire family. And Gene Wilder finally turned to him and said, why would you do such a thing? And the guy said, hey, they were home.
Whoa. Wait, that's a quote from them. And they just ripped. Wow, they were home.
That's like, why do we climb Mount Everest? Because it's there.
I've got to call Meaney question. What the heck is that ring on his finger?
Oh, wait, stir crazy.
Is it stir crazy? Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, stir, of course. Yeah. But that's a story that Gene Wilder told on the Mike Douglas show, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
But yeah, they were home. But that ring on Cole Meaney's finger, it looks like he could he could throw it into Mordor. It's a gigantic. I mean, it's real
on his
knuckle duster of a
ring finger, but it's not on the right hand. Well, it is on the right hand, not on the left hand.
I mean, I guess that's his school, or I don't know.
He played football.
Okay.
I'm just guessing. Like, would he play? Like, would he play tennis? Would he play track?
Yeah, NHL. Like, I don't know. Is he? But I mean, it looks like they took the Stanley Cup and they just wrapped it around his finger. It's just gigantic.
Yeah.
It's so much.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, what sport? Because that's definitely like when you win states, you get a ring, or when you win a national championship, you get a ring.
Yeah. Are there big rugby rings? I don't know if I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know if they play rugby in America, but I don't think British sports normally have ring. That's a very American thing to get a ring from a sport. I don't know. I don't follow any sport at all, so I can't say for definite. But
I'm looking. I'm just looking up rugby rings, and apparently they sell rings that are made out of rubber so that your finger doesn't get torn off while you're playing rugby.
Okay.
That's apparently, but this is not. This is apparently not the type of ring to wear in a rugby match.
Speaking of sports and lines cut out of the script, in the whole conversation between Skip and Larkin, like before Malloy arrives, Skip has a couple of lines that I really like that got taken out when he says like that plane was carrying 1,000 years to Feltham. I like that line. Just wrapping up like there's so many years of prison time on this plane, 1,000 years to Feltham. To which Larkin replies, "Be nice if they could just stay up there forever, wouldn't it? Like, he doesn't want the plane to land; he just wants them to keep circling the globe forever, keep them out of the way." And then Skip's response is, "My God, Vince, we got the 27 Yankees of murderers and psychopaths on that plane." Which, Mark, I think you looked up the 27.
Yeah,
Yankees.
I mean, so they're tied for the 5th greatest record of all time. So they went 110 and 44. And they actually have a nickname where they call them the Murderers Row of Sluggers. So the Yankees from this year that they quote in the script, the 27 Yankees, they had the Murderers Row. That's what they called their sluggers. Which is a pretty good.
That's nice, yeah.
Scott Rosenberg did a pretty good job there. And if you're wondering about who's number one, it is the 2001 Mariners, who went 116 and 46, but then lost in the ALCS.
Wow.
Which that wasn't. They weren't number one when this came out. So.
Oh yeah. So who was?
Were 2, 3, and 4 post 97 as well?
Yeah. So one. Wait. Well, no, the 1906 Cubs were number one, actually. So then the Cubs were good. Yeah, and then the Indians.
Saying the 06 Cubs isn't quite the ring to it as the 27 Yankees, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess it was 1906. I guess we can't say, we got to explain when we say 06. But yeah, I like that line, though, the Murderer's Row, and that's what they were actually called when they went up to bat. That makes me happy.
The line about the 10,000 years thing, I was thinking of, I don't know if you ever saw the early Spencer Tracy movie, 20,000 Years in Sing Sing. That was like one of the first big talky prison movie, with guys banging trays on a, all the classic tropes that you see in prison movies. 20,000 Years in Sing Sing. It was with Spencer Tracy, and I think he was the only star in the thing, but very young Spencer Tracy in it. But worth a watch. I'm sure it's probably on YouTube or something. It's very, if it isn't on public domain, it should be. It's just been it's a very old movie, like I think 30, 31, something like that. It's early
32. 30s. And it's only an hour, like 89 minutes, so that's an easy watch.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's a lot of, like, you'll see it and you go, oh, I've seen this before. It's like, no, this is where it all started.
Oh, okay. And well, then I have another recommendation for you. Prison.
Prison.
It's a movie called Prison.
Rennie Harlin.
Oh, okay.
Our boy from Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
At 1987, they filmed in an abandoned Montana prison. This is his first English language feature, and it's on YouTube. So if you're ever bored,
a young Viggo Mortensen and a nice young Lane Smith.
Wow. Viggo's we interviewed Joe Johnson, and I think Viggo is his favorite actor. He was in Hidalgo, which Joe directed, and he said he's just a perfect guy to work with. He said he's one of the best actors he's ever worked with.
He does seem he's never been bad. I can only think of
he really. He
How would Nick Cage been in The Rocketeer? Since we're talking about Joe Johnson in The Rocketeer.
That's like one of those things when they talk about Kevin Smith's Superman, you're like, whoa. Same hair.
The matinee idol.
It might have been. I could just see, because Billy Campbell was playing him goofy, and just like honest but goofy, which is perfect. Nick Cage. Nick Cage can come across as naive yet knowledgeable.
So, would you rather have Nick Cage in the Billy Campbell role, Malkovich in the Dalton role, or Cole Meaney in the Alan Arkin role?
In the Jennifer Connelly role.
Cole Meaney in a white evening.
In the Jennifer Connelly
role. Wow.
Dalton's too perfect.
Dalton's two perfect roles. I don't think he was perfect for Bond, but he was perfect as Prince Baron in Flash Gordon. I mean, I think that was his ultimate role, and that transferred quite nicely into being Neville Sinclair in The Rocketeer.
And perfect in Hot Fuzz.
How close was Bruce Campbell to being in The Rocketeer?
Bruce Campbell. Actually, who was surprisingly close was Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was Joe Johnston was. Disney was, or the guy that was the guy with giant glasses that was the head of Disney back then. But they were pushing Joe Johnston to hire Johnny Depp to be the Rocketeer, and so Johnston didn't want him, and he's like, I'll go interview him. So they went over to Universal where they were filming Edward Scissorhands, and so they went into the cafeteria there, the commissary, and Depp couldn't eat, but he could drink, so he had like a straw, and he was in full Edward Scissorhands regalia, and he was told that he could have the role if he wanted it, and Joe Johnston met him, and he's like, he's a nice guy, but I couldn't picture him being the Rocketeer, and so Depp turned down the role because he thought it wasn't right for him, which they both agreed on, but Depp and Billy Campbell had the same agent, and they wound up meeting at the agent's, and Billy Campbell picked Johnny Depp up because he's not a tall guy, picked him up and hugged him thanks for not taking the role. But I think I could picture Johnny Depp less in that role than I could picture Nick Cage in that role.
Yeah. Cage would do it better. And then Bruce Campbell would be too smarmy. Actually, I think Bruce Campbell almost got the Phantom and Billy Zane got it. That's the movie that mixed up.
I can see that making more sense. Yeah.
Because the 90s had the Phantom, the Rocketeer, the Shadow. They had those sort of earnest throwback movies
Yeah.
that I somehow sort of combine all in my head.
Yeah,
at
it's all
once.
just kind of a blur.
Yeah.
And and Costner was busy doing Robin Hood, so which is why Rocketeer did so bad, because they both came out like within 2 weeks of each other. But I'm just picturing, I think Bruce Campbell would work as Howard Hughes better.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
just-
Terry O'Quinn was perfect.
Yes.
But I think Bruce Campbell could have handled that. Now, Call Meaney and Cusack could have been the FBI agents from the Rocketeer. I could see that. Although I don't think Cusack works in the 30s. Although he was in
Road music, the music one, Bullets Over Broadway.
No. There was it oh gosh.
He was in. Wait, and then there's that other one.
The Matty Gann movie, wasn't he in that? The Journey of Matty Gann, or I may be confusing him with somebody else in that.
Does John Cusack? No, he's too John Cusack for the 30s.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be in the 30s and he'd be holding a boombox over his head, so it wouldn't work.
A record player, a record, like a gigantic radio.
Big crank Victrola, and just
He's
doing the Charleston.
The only period piece I can think of is The Raven for him, and I don't want to think about The Raven.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
He did not work in that. It was Cusack, but in, the olden days. That doesn't.
What's his face? Swamp Thing. He could have played Lothar. I could see him doing Lothar. Yeah, you wouldn't even need makeup. Just
Man, wait.
Now you have me recasting the Rocketeer with.
Could Ving Rhames be Paul Sorvino?
Ooh, that would be interesting. Yeah.
I love Paul Sorvino. He's great.
Malkovich could be Hughes, or Malkovich would be a very threatening Eddie Valentine.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Cage could work in the 30s because he was in the Cotton Club. That wasn't the 30s, but still.
What about Ving Rhames being Peavy?
I like a recasting of the Rocketeer.
Yeah.
I love the Rocketeer.
I'm trying to think where Danny Trejo can fit in. Like John Polito?
No,
who would be good as Peavy? Ving Rhames?
I'm picturing Ving Rhames and Billy Campbell, or Ving Rhames and Nick Cage.
Yeah. We're talking about Ving Rhames is more of his kind of Mission Impossible kind of vibe, where he's more of a
nerdy guy,
an older guy.
Yeah. He may be a little bit too young for this, but I just I
want to watch the Rocketeer again.
You have to go in and do the deep fake and just start swapping out heads.
It flies by. Like Jennifer Connelly's great in it. This Billy Kent. What a cat. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna go watch the Rocketeer.
Oh, come back.
So I like it.
Yeah.
Do we have nickname? And what else is in this chapter that we talked about?
I think we covered everything. I like Malloy gets over the death of Sims, and he has his so what now? I always enjoy that kind of thing. It's the West Wing thing of what's next. Of okay, this problem has happened. Let's just move on and deal with the next thing. Come on, let's get on with it. I like that sentiment. We'll grieve later, kind of thing.
Yeah, those last couple of seconds, I just keep picturing that those helicopters are always orbiting. Never mind, waiting, doing a mission, going for a mission. They're just always orbiting, and it's like, okay, we found a place for you to go now. Get on it.
Yeah, the shot of them taking off is from years ago.
Yeah. They just came down to refuel.
Yeah. What movie is it where they're always in the air, they never land? Is that Fast and Furious 8? There's a plane that never lands, and they have to go get the person from the plane that never lands.
Oh, you're thinking of Airport 75, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah, Airport 75. What happens in Airport 75 is Dana Andrews is flying a Chevy Citation, a Cessna Citation, and he crashes into a 747, killing all the pilots and the co-pilots. And for some reason, they have to let a woman fly the plane. And what does a woman know about flying a plane? So they had to get a man down there. So they had to lower a man into the cockpit where there's a convenient hole in the side of the ship so they could lower him in.
Isn't there a line where it's like the stewardess is flying the plane?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. So, yeah.
Well, Executive Decision came a long way then. Curdy
Yeah.
Russ and Holly Berry land that thing.
Yeah, it's but she only had to keep it straight and level, even though they were heading into the Rockies and that was scaring her. But then they taught her how to gently pull back on the stick, and it would somehow raise the aircraft. So she knew at least that much.
A podcast I used to host, the Lambcast, the episode we did on that, which was an airport franchise look back. I hadn't seen any of them before, and just introduced to me. This is like 5 or 6 years ago at this point. One of my favorite podcasts I've ever done. I couldn't wait to record that. It's like 3 hours of 4 or 5 of us just having a wonderful time talking about these incredible films. Joe Petroni became the Lambcast mascot for a long time after that episode, and I'm very much looking forward to having you on Deep Blue Sea, Jen, to talk about Airport 77 sometime.
Oh yes, please. Yeah, that's one of my favorite of the post-airport movies. It's 77 with it's just so many old actors getting their check marks on SAG, so they'll have hospitalization. I mean, Olivia de Havilland's in, Jimmy Stewart. It's just
Lee's in there.
Piles of old people. Yeah. I remember back in the like around 1980 or so. The stunt show at Universal was a recreation of Airport 77. Nice. They had scenes where they would just take people out of the audience and have them change into like suits and ties, and have them jump off a set. It was an airport door, an aircraft door, and they had to jump into the water. And then they could buy a 3/4-inch pneumatic cassette of their action.
And now it's Waterworld.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, yeah.
Universal. I love it. Okay, I want to get to know you real quick. What are your 5 favorite movies from 1997?
I'm gonna have to look at a 1997. Hang on, 1997.
I want to know. I would love to know your 5 favorite movies from 1997.
1990. Oh, Starship Troopers, number 1.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Movie. It works for action lovers. It works for cinephiles. It works for pretty much everybody. Sci-fi fans.
Yeah, no, you can't. Yeah, you can't not love that. Wow. Oh, Lost Highway, of course, David Lynch. Yeah. Okay. So there's 2.
Those are 2 good films. But I'm Calling You From Your House, isn't that? Oh man. What about Ernest Goes to Africa? That's got to be in there.
Ooh. Yeah, my kids loved it. My kids loved all the Ernest movies. I mean, that was kind of constantly on replay. That was a really bad year for movies, wasn't it? I know people like it, but I wasn't that fond of Donnie Brasco. I thought it was way too much Pacino. It was too much Pacino even for Pacino.
Well, I mean, sorry to put you on this, but you picked 2 solid ones right there. I like the 2 you picked, Lost Highway and Starship Troopers. They both hold up.
Yeah.
Lost Highway just got a 4K from Criterion, I think.
Oh.
Or was that Mulholland Drive? One of his movies about driving.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure Mulholland Drive is about driving.
I know.
I know. Now I'm looking at as I'm diving into these 1997s. I'm seeing a bunch of Chasing Amy, The Fifth Element, of course. Oh my gosh. Men in Black was that far back. I thought it was closer. Oh, okay. Yeah, Men in Black. And I don't know if I've gotten to 5.
Yeah, you're there.
Well, let me see. What would I swap out? I might swap out Chasing Amy for Austin Powers. I thought that started an entire, franchise. I always like movies that start franchises. My son would have put all 5 at Prefontaine, but he was a runner and loved running movies, so I think that was on constantly. The moment it came out on video, we had that in constant rotation at our house.
Which one's the better Prefontaine movie?
I think the Prefon movie is the better.
Got it. Because there's 2 of them, right?
Is it
the same actor? No, it's Billy Crudup.
No, Billy Crudup. Yeah.
And then there's another Prefontaine movie. What? Jared Leto?
Yeah.
Where did I pull that from?
Wow. Yeah. No, I think he. I mean, Billy Crudup did a really good job, but I think that Leto did a better, like, the soul of Prefontaine. And I mean, the funny thing is, my son works for Nike now, so it's
nice.
Just kind of weird, the waffle shoe and all that. It's like, oh, that's right. Well, he doesn't work for Nike, but Nike is one of his primary clients. So
is On Cloud taking a lot of their shoe stuff?
I don't know. All I know about Nike is that he has to sometimes when he what he does is he builds displays for Nike when they're doing special events like the Olympics or something like that. He has these drop-in event things, and he'll get like $10,000 worth of shoes and drill holes in them so they can make a wall of sneakers. And he said it's just painful, just grinding in and putting a bolt through the sneakers. But he does have some interesting designs for the whole thing.
Does he complain much, or does he just do it?
He just does it. I mean, as long as they yeah. That's what it said on the shirt. I just guess. But he's like, that's what he tells them when he wants them to pay their invoices. Sign here.
So do you have any more thoughts on this chapter, Jim, or the film as a whole?
This film is, as I found out, which I haven't done in a while, it's eminently rewatchable. You can sit and watch the whole thing. It was okay. Perfect
every week.
Yeah, perfect popcorn movie. You can get through all the lapels and the growling meanies. It's very 1997. A lot, as most movies of the time, everything could have been solved with cell phones. But then you wouldn't have a good Jerry Bruckheimer film. So it's nice watching these things that are set in a certain place and time. Do you think you could make a Con Air movie nowadays? Do you think that would work?
Well, I mean, we're big on anti-heroes. I mean, if you look at Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad.
That's true.
Like, I feel like these sort of non-IP related action movies, it would have to be like a Netflix or something, because like what's the last original action film, like original action film that hit the theaters? Does that make sense?
John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick. Or what's the Reacher? Tom Cruise, but that became a franchise. So
yeah.
But first of the franchise. Yeah, Jack Reacher, I think would be.
And that's based on a book.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know any original action movies that would come out with this budget. Like, this was a $70 million movie.
Yeah, I mean, the last one to do that would be John Carter. Interesting, all the Jacks, Johns, and Jacks. Yeah, John Carter Mars. There you
go. Nobody.
Oh, Nobody. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But that had, what, a $17 million budget?
Yeah, I had to Google to remember as well.
Yeah, what's a tent pole is what you're looking for. You're looking for a tent pole picture.
But Bullet Train came out this year.
Oh yeah.
That's also based on a book, I think.
Oh yeah, it's manga, right?
I don't know.
Well, they're all based on something. Yeah.
Like Edge of Tomorrow was really successful. But it wasn't R-rated nasty criminals like a serial killer talking to a child in an empty pool.
Yeah.
The whole time loop. To it.
Yeah. Non-science fiction, a non-science fiction action movie. That's where you got to go.
That you're right. That's a tent pole. Like a giant tent pole.
Ambulance?
Yeah. Which ambulance?
But that cost $35 million. But that was kind of a tent pole. They wanted that to do better. And that's about criminals in it's about as Con Air as you're gonna get, just on the ground.
Yeah. And from last year, Cop Shop is a much smaller budget, one with Gerard Butler.
Yeah, this would have to star. It would have to star Scott Adkins. I gotta watch that Cop Shop, by the way. Thank you for that. It would be like Scott Adkins.
Who would be the modern, the modern version? I mean, would you cast Nick Cage again?
See, when I was at the Q&A, Simon West was asked that question, and he was just like, "It's got to be Nick Cage." He couldn't come up with another who is the modern Nick Cage, because it's still Nick Cage apparently.
Yeah, Nick Cage is Nick Cage.
That was a cop-out answer, if you ask me.
Are we doing tentpole casting, or are we doing dream casting?
Well, tentpole like right now, you're gonna release, and you don't have Con Air. Con Air has not been out, or you're for the way things are right now, you're remaking Con Air, and you remake Con Air, so you're recasting all these people. Who are you putting in? I'm trying to think of would the Nick Cage be Chris Pratt?
I was thinking Pine or Hemsworth.
I was thinking Robert Pattinson.
Oh, Robert Pattinson is Cameron Poe. He could headline $120 million Con Air movie.
Yeah.
I really like that. Michael B. Jordan's huge too.
And Taron Egerton in the Cusack role, maybe.
Oh. Yeah.
Or
He could wear sandals.
he can wear
the guy that starred in The Bear. I can't think of his name.
Oh, I'm watching that at the moment. I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he could do that. He could do it.
Yeah, he's got a good look. He could be
Name I
that.
can never remember.
Yeah,
The white shirt. He could pull off the white shirt.
yeah.
Jeremy Allen White.
There you go. Yeah, I could see him being the Nick Cage role. He's good at being flustered but not showing it.
Whoa.
So,
and you still buy him as a tough guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind
Now,
of looks tough.
who would be what's her name? Porter, the one that the wife that's behind it. You have to have a big star,
Oh,
but she
Monica
wouldn't
Potter.
have. Yeah, Monica Parker. But who would be her? Because you'd have to have a big star, but she wouldn't get a lot of screen time. So you have to
I
temper
feel
that.
like Sienna Miller.
No, Sienna
done
Miller.
that
She's always the
a
wife on
bunch
the
of
phone.
She's this year's Bonnie Bedelia.
Yeah, that's what immediately came
They
to
could
my mind.
repurpose footage they already have from 5 other films.
Oh
Yeah, she's got the look. Yeah, no, I can see that.
That's
Oh.
you know what's funny? That came to my mind immediately.
That would,
Like,
yeah,
Sienna
that would
Miller.
be absolutely perfect. Just drop her in, and she'd be happy with that much screen time.
Yeah, there it is, Sienna Miller.
Yeah.
She's great on the phone.
If we have to
Yeah.
keep one existing cast member in the same role, I feel like Buscemi can still do Garland Green very
Yeah.
easily.
And Ving Rhames, only he'd be harder to get around. I think he's just a little bit thicker through the middle.
Less of a physical threat these days. I think.
Yeah, I'm keeping Buscemi.
Or they could cast him in the Meaney role.
Yeah, that could work.
Although I don't know, because it's that typical the guy screaming. He'd be a good screaming guy.
Yeah. We have the meat. We have the prisoners.
Wow. Well, I would watch that movie.
Yes, same.
Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us. This was all. I loved where we went in this episode. This is a nice battery charger right here for sure. So thank you so much for coming.
It was really good. Well, we've got coming up February 6th, 2023. We've got the beginning of the Bowfinger Minute, where teams of Movies by Minutes hosts come on and talk about the 1999 Frank Oz directed comedy Bowfinger, starring Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy and a host of other great actors, including Chancellor Valorum as the head of a Scientology knockoff.
And he's we've got week 4, and we've got the Terrence Stamp. Terrence Stamp's first week, I think, is our week. So.
Perfect. Yeah. The Terrence stamp of approval. So it's we'll learn all about the happy premises, and it's just a fun film, and I think everybody's going to have a great time with it. So check that out. It's on bowfingerminute.com, and it's available wherever you're listening to this show. You're probably going to find Bowfinger Minute on the same thing. So type that in the search engine.
Yeah, when it starts coming out, we'll share it. We'll post it. Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
What about you, Mark?
Hey, Laker girls. So Movies, Films, and Flicks, Movies, Films, and FLIX. You can just listen to the podcast wherever you find podcasts. You can do that. We were just number 7 in France, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm very happy about that. And then let's see. I got a show on film on Fandom. So whenever an Honest Trailer comes out, they're going to start releasing these by the numbers videos. So I work on the research for that, and then you'll see some cool stuff in the credits pretty soon. I have an episode coming out for Film Theorists about the Black Phones. You can watch that. I just did a Walking to Mordor episode, so you can go to Film Theorists, type in Walking to Mordor, Mark Hoffmeyer, you can watch that. And Deep Blue Sea, we just did an underwater episode where I'm normally the most positive human being on the planet, but I got pretty riled up during the underwater episode because I love that movie. Yeah, I love that movie, and it just annoys me that people didn't give it a chance. So if you want to listen to me get kind of, I never do it, but me getting kind of, I just love it so much. That's why I'm kind of like, I was defending it.
You were annoyed from minute 1. It's like you introduced yourself like, I'm going to go on a rant now. I was like, hey, guess to invite.
Complete.
But I never do that.
There,
like, I hate being that guy with the opinion. Like, I'd rather be a guy who drops something interesting for people. But yeah, I got pretty worked up during the underwater episode. But
I'd be
tempted
to add the underwater filter, and just have everybody talking about it.
This is BS.
As for me, my personal site is lifeversusfilm.com. Over on Deep Blue Sea, the podcast, as Mark's mentioned, we've got Underwater, and then coming up soon, episodes on Muppet Treasure Island. Deep Blue Sea adjacent, of course, because it's set at sea.
Yes.
And I'm trying to get an episode on the Deep House, the very
Oh.
recent film, which I haven't seen yet. And then the holiday season just around the corner, so upcoming episodes on Die Hard 2 and The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Of which Billy Campbell turned down a role as one of the bad guys in Die Hard 2 to take on the Rocketeer.
Was it the William Sadler role? Do you know?
No, it was William Sadler's one of his henchmen.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh.
So he turned it down to be a lead in another Disney film. So
I think
Smart.
that was the right choice, I would say, because had he taken the Die Hard 2 role, he would not have been a guest on 30 odd episodes of your podcast talking about the Rocketeer, so that just wouldn't have happened.
The Deep House, man. So that's a movie I don't really love, but I think about it often because of the production design. They built a house in a tank, and it's an underwater haunted house movie. And
wow.
I wish I could have been on that set. I really do. Like that, Crawl, and Underwater. Those are 3 movies I wish I could have worked on.
Nice.
But yeah, it's Jay. I think about that movie a lot. Actually.
I haven't seen it yet. It's not out. It's not out in the UK yet somehow. But soon I'm going to see it and talk about it on a podcast. So
It's an underwater haunted house movie.
I'm looking for that's. Hey, it's why it's on the list. And you can hear me once a month hosting movie trivia over on Lampardy, over on the Lambcast. Mark was a recent winner. I'm a recent winner.
We're going to battle.
We're going to play each other very soon in the next round, so that's always fun. And then the Lamb is the large association of movie blogs, which I am the shepherd of. If you have a movie blog or podcast and want to join a large community of like-minded folks, then head on over to largeassmovieblogs.com to come join the flock.
Trying to figure out if Titanic is an underwater horror ghost movie.
Titanic is Deep Sea adjacent, but also,
Yeah.
what more can we say?
Yeah,
been
sure.
done, it's what we never did Jaws. We did the sequels, but we never did Jaws because Jaws is done at this point.
Yeah.
I call Deep House.
I mean, I haven't got a guest yet, so if I can get hold of it and you're free, then yeah. Okay, well, as for Connor Chapter 16, thank you very much to our guest, Jim O'Kane, for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much, and we'll do this again sometime.
I hope so. I have been Jake Lewitt.
And I'm Mark Hoffmeyer.
Come back next week or the bunny gets it.
Sigh.
Anara!